So at the bottom of the hill where the little creek goes, there was 3 of these creatures standing there.
Tell us about the night you went to UWHARRIE and met Dave Moser.
Okay. That was, it was Wednesday, May 7th, 2014. I had decided to go out there by myself. It was a weeknight. I wanted to get out there, didn't have anybody to go with, so I thought I'm just going to go myself. So I drive out, go through Albemarle, and I stop at a convenience store, and as I was going in the door, Dave Moser was coming out. He lives in Charlotte. He's a squatcher too. So he asked me, like, so what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going out to West Morris by myself. And he said, well, I was going to go to Yates by myself. He said, I'll just go with you. I said, well, good. That'll be more fun, you know. So that was a strange night. A couple things happened. One is Bigfoot related, and the other is not, but was still very weird. So we get out to West Morris. I pull into number 10. Dave, campsite number 10. Dave pulls into the one next to it. So he comes over to 10. I had like a FLIR thermal monocular. I hadn't had it very long. And it's pretty good, but it's not as good as what we have now. So and he has a monocular, and we were holding them up to our eye. We were sitting in the dark. There was nobody else out there. And, you know, you pull it down and you have like night blindness or whatever it is, where one eye is adjusted to the light and the thermal and the other one is not. So it's kind of weird. But so we were looking like this and going on, and we had sat there quite a while just trying to be quiet, look and listen. And I started noticing these tiny, tiny, tiny little blue lights. Oh, I saw one, and it was just kind of like floating on the air, and I thought, is that my eye? And then I started seeing a couple other ones, and then I saw a few more, and really wasn't sure what was going on. I said, Dave, I don't know how to say this, but I'm seeing tiny, tiny little blue lights. And he said, good, I am too. And I was like, what? We had no idea what this was. I mean, they didn't blink. They were just lit continuously. And they just like floated on the little breeze. And there was more and more of them, and they seemed to be coming up out of the ground. And it was really weird. If we had had any lights on or a campfire, I don't think we would have ever seen them. But we were sitting in the dark. And they flew around, and it was really bizarre. We sat there and just watched, and then they just all went away. We didn't see them anymore. And we didn't know if we had what was happening, if what that was. We just didn't understand. Neither one of us had ever seen anything like that in our lives, and it was a little disconcerting that, you know, just bizarre. We're both older guys. We'd never seen anything like that ever. So after the fact, Dave did some research, and he found out, there may be more available now, he had found out that the only place what they were, where it was a tiny little blue firefly. And they had only been documented somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains by a professor it was either Appalachian or Western Carolina. And so I thought that was pretty bizarre. So Dave found out what they were, found out that this guy had documented them before. But they were so faint you couldn't take a picture. I mean, we had nothing to take a picture. I guess maybe now, maybe, I don't know, but they were just so faint. It was very bizarre. So that was pretty interesting. So we sit there in the dark and we watched and we watched and we looked until it got to be, I would say, close to 4 in the morning. So we decided we were going to get some sleep before daylight and go back home. So I had a Chevrolet pickup truck at the time, and the weather was really nice. So I had the passenger door open, and I set my FLIR up between the door opening and the mirror there to point down in a small little section where we had caught stuff before. And I had it hooked to a cheap little DVR that would record. Wish I'd had a really good one, but that was early on in this thing, and didn't have a lot of money to buy stuff to do that. So anyway, laid back, he went over to his car, we went to sleep, slept till after daylight before we actually got up. So we got up, packed up our little bit of stuff, and we went home. So the next day, I always, as soon as I can, whether it's the next day or the next weekend, whatever, review our footage and see if we got anything. Well, we ended up getting something I think is pretty good. It's, I'll throw the picture up. We have like a natural daylight version of it, and then we have like the thermal part of it. It looks like to me that there are 3 creatures standing at the bottom of the hill. Part of it is hard to see, like you can tell something comes in, you can see a target on the FLIR. It'll come in and it stopped for a little while. And I don't know how long they stood there. A minute, maybe, I don't know. They walked in, they stopped and looked up at us. Of course, we were asleep. And then they just turned and walked away. Well, it's not a high quality. This was like a 256 thermal. So it's okay. It's better in certain conditions, but it's not the greatest. But I think you can definitely see them. There's one, they're different heights, and one of them looks like it may be carrying something, but you can't really tell. That's what a lot of people think, it's carrying something. It's hard to say. So, and of course we didn't know this until we got home and reviewed the footage, which happens a lot of times. So we just thought we would share this footage with you and welcome your comments on what you think it is, good, bad, or ugly. And so tell us what you think.